911 location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in custody today.
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged.
We are going over the Goncalves' newest interviews so that we can make sure that they are not out here lying, is what I said. We are going to watch these and make sure they're not out here telling untruths, because that's what they're good at. And since we're out here taking time to debunk the Netflix shit, which we're going to talk about that again too, because Netflix and TikTok are in cahoots. I'm about to show you some shit. And Skye Borgman, the girl who did the Netflix docuseries, is claiming that she has figured out why Kohberger did what he did, and apparently he's some sort of woman hater, and she's just got it all figured out. Okay, whatever. Now, over on Accomplished Day's channel, she just posted an interview with the French professor that Bryan Kohberger had. So let me drop that link in here real quick. And we'll watch this one probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, because you know how I am. I like the channels to get what they need for traction. I've listened to about, I don't know, I guess like 80, 75, 70% of it. It's all stuff we read in the report before. Not really a big deal, but it's good that we have the audio. I'm glad we have the audio. Yeah, the man-hating professor, basically. Something I'm going to make very clear. Obviously, there's two things I have to make very clear. So, you know that character analysis fucking weirdo? And she's always constantly running her mouth about every little thing that we talk about, but she has no actual opinions of her own, and she just can't help herself. She's over on Twitter basically trying to insinuate all kinds of things about Melissa Kohberger, of course, and trying to force me to ask Melissa to defend herself on something that this bitch, plain and simple, has no proof of. And I'm just not going to do it. So I'm just going to make it really clear here. Nobody reached out to me looking for an interview. I don't know where the hell that weirdo got that shit from. Nobody reached out to me looking for a damn thing but some connection. Melissa and her family reached out to show appreciation because they knew that I was going to respect confidentiality. They didn't reach out to me looking for a fuck thing. So I don't know what the hell is going on with that side of things and why all this shit's happening. I'm not going to force anyone to defend themselves against something that no one's given me any proof of. Show me some receipts of some shit, and then maybe we'll have a discussion. Until then, shut the fuck up. I'm so tired of it. Number two, Phoenix Talks is not raising money, nor does she have a connection to this family. I asked Melissa about this earlier today. You guys were in the live when I went to email her, and my computer freaked out. Yeah, y'all were there for that. She has since responded and said, no, we are not in contact with that person, nor have we given anybody the go-ahead, nor we give them the go-ahead to raise money for anything. So I don't know what's being said over there. I just know somebody emailed me and said that they were over there. This is like the 17,000th time someone has told me that this Phoenix Talks chick has said that she was not only talking to the family, but raising money for whatever the hell. And I've been telling y'all for forever now, don't do it. Wait till we actually know what's going on. We had no idea what was going on, and now we know. No, she's not even speaking to them. That's not someone that they are in connection with whatsoever. Don't just go donating money to things that can't prove to you it has a connection to where it's going. So tell people that, because a lot of people are very, very gullible. And they will go in and they will believe anything that people say, and they will donate based off of just words with no actual receipts to anything. And the Kohbergers, the last thing that they need is to be connected to somebody else's scam that they ain't got shit to do with. So it needs to be made very well known. There's no connection to that channel in the family. Whatever's being said is bullshit. Okay? Okay. Now, she is such a freaking weirdo. Oh my God. All right. Let me show y'all what TikTok did to me today. So I took a clip from the live where we did our Moscow Monday stuff. Just where it was the portion of Corbin Smith's body cam that shows him and Gunderson having a conversation talking about Dylan hearing everything and him being like, oh my God, and shouldn't call the cops. That's crazy. All that stuff. Okay. I took that clip to put on TikTok because TikTok doesn't seem to have a lot of truth over there. There's some fighting for their lives, but you know what? It's time to step it up, obviously, because people are just clueless, especially with this damn Netflix documentary. So I go over there and I post it on TikTok and I tag Netflix in the title, and it instantly community violates me for posting this video. Now I'm going to show you what TikTok said to me. Then I'm going to show you the damn short that they have now violated and removed from my page before I even got the chance to do anything with it, okay? This is all it said. I didn't even cuss. Not even a fake cuss word, okay? At Netflix, lied to its viewers. The 11/22 King Road homicide footage, labeled as never before seen in their Idaho Student Murders docuseries, has been on YouTube for 8 months. YouTubers paid for that footage to be redacted and released to the public via FOIA. That is the truth. Go to Connor's channel on YouTube for the most FOIA'd body cam and interview footage in this case. We have paid thousands for FOIA'd information from the Moscow Police Department, from forensic reports to unsealed court docs to frat interviews and police reports about rogue ATF agent impersonators at the scene of the crime to the official chain of custody report for the knife sheath found at the scene. Next to Maddie Mogen, we have it all. Come to YouTube and look at my hashtags. Normal, Idaho 4, True Crime, Idaho, Idaho 4 Updates, Idaho College Students, Clips, Kaylee Goncalves, Maddie Mogen, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, True Crime Story, Bryan Kohberger, Interview Police Justice Liar. Now, I'm going to show you the damn little video itself. Hold on, that's not it.
It's the #1 show on Netflix.
I'm going to show you the little video itself because it's literally a clip and I didn't add anything to it but some words. Tell me where in this video do you see any sort of anything that could possibly be a violation? Okay, watch this. See, what I want to know now, though, I need to go back and check and see, and I have...
And one girl was in there.
Right here.
Did you hear that part?
Okay, see, this is the part I was just about to question. Like, if he doesn't say what I think he should be saying right here, then I'm going to have to go back in and recheck the Netflix footage. Netflix has this portion in there. They're about to, I know I hate this part, but they're about to mention the portion in the Netflix portion where they talk about Dylan here and shit. That's why I said they took Connor's footage.
And one girl was in there. Did you hear that part? So there's a third of the other girl that was in here. Saw a guy walk in with a ski mask on. And locked herself in the room. I heard all this shit going on.
There's nothing in here that violates a fucking thing.
She didn't call last night? It happened at like 4. And then she tried calling her friends. These people didn't answer. Bitch has the full story. It's all I've heard from him so far. I don't know if she can sleep or...
I'm barely talking in this entire video.
Gosh.
So they're at the Great Truck 2. This house is going to camera on the front porch. Maybe get something off of that.
See, this is more proof that Netflix lied and that the footage that they had was not never before seen footage. When was this posted? This is another part I got to add to that. This came out on December 11th, 2025 on Connor's channel. Netflix has people like Rotten Mango and other people advertising this footage as if it's never before seen body cam from the scene. No, this shit's been out for 8 months now. 8 months now. Netflix lied. Like we already knew that they did. Either they FOIA'd the footage and paid $30 for it, meaning they know already that it's out there, and they went and looked for it and they saw that it was on Connor's channel and still decided to lie, or they stole it from Connor's channel and they're still lying. There's literally no other way around that. Connor paid for the redactions of this footage. They either paid $30 in a duplication fee, meaning they knew it was already out there and they're lying, or they just straight stole it from Connor and they're still lying. Either way, they're lying. Either way, they're lying. Watch. I show proof of where they came from. There's like 30 seconds of me going through Connor's page. Look. Now on TikTok, it didn't have these cover things. These cover things are for YouTube. I show all of Connor's page, and then at the end, I put his YouTube channel right here at the end of it in big letters so everyone can see it. This got violated, and you know what's crazy? You know what happened right before? I finally got monetized, almost monetized. So as soon, I've never had a content violation. I've never ever once in the entire freaking time that I've had TikTok, literally ever once, ever had a content violation that removed a video ever once. The first one I upload after I finally get to the 10,000 mark and apply to be in the content creator program or whatever it's called, the very next video, I get a content violation strike and it removes the video from my profile. Did you see anything in that video? Did I say anything crazy? My God. Can you believe that stupid shit? I was like, what? I didn't even say anything. So I had to appeal it. I didn't even say nothing wrong. That's why I said, like, what violation? What did I do? What did I say? Nothing. I didn't say shit. I took that exact same video and I just posted it to Facebook and I tagged Netflix on Facebook. I did the same thing on Twitter. I did the exact same thing on my clip channel, my this channel clip channel. Nobody else violated it. TikTok violated it. Well, that's some crazy shit. Tell me, Melody, what are you doing? Crazy shit. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. We have 2 interviews. Damn it, I lost the other one. There it is. We have 2 interviews that we are going to watch from the Goncalveses, and then we are also going to go over the Skye Borgman interview just because she's trying to act like she knows something. It's pretty obvious by how she did her Netflix documentary that she doesn't really know anything, and she hasn't probably ever went to the court website and pulled any documentation up or anything like that. It's pretty obvious by how this was done. I really wish somebody that actually gave a shit about the truth had Netflix money and would do a documentary, because even if somebody, which I do plan to, and I know Truth and Transparency has been saying for a while, she's going to do her own documentary thing too. And I plan on doing my own stuff with this once we get to a point where it's doable, when things aren't going to keep changing every freaking day. You know, somebody on YouTube can make the most intricately detailed, perfect documentary about all of the truth in this damn thing, and it won't be touched by hardly 1% of the amount it would be if it was Netflix money or HBO money or Paramount money. Somebody who gives a shit needs to actually do the right thing here. It doesn't need to be 20 years down the line like Scott Peterson, where now they're trying to say, oh, all these things need to be retested, and oh, there was all these other people that saw all these other things, and oh, look at this other evidence. We don't need to wait that long for anything. Can we just get this done? This is so stupid. Ignorant. Ignorant. All right, let's go ahead and watch this first one. Or actually, I think the one on the Today Show was the original first one. Maybe we should watch that one first. Yeah, let's watch this one first. This one was the first one that came to my attention today. So let's watch this one.
We're joined now by Kaylee Goncalves' family, her parents, Christy and Steve, and her sister Aubrey is with us this morning as well. Welcome back. Welcome back. You know, we were talking just a few minutes ago about the documentary itself, and one of the things that I found interesting was that it didn't focus on the killer, focused on the victims, focused.
What I found interesting is that the Goncalveses were in it and had the Netflix cameras in the car with them in the passenger seat on the way to sentencing, when they've done nothing but complain about these documentaries and done nothing but complain about these kinds of things happening, but then they're allowing them into their car. That's what I found interesting.
On their stories as well. Did you find participating in it to be cathartic? Did it help with the grieving process?
Yes, and Skye Borgman, who was the producer of that, knew that we...
Is she sober? I mean, that's a serious question at this point with the way that they've conducted themselves. She sounds really slowed down.
Documentary itself, and one of the things that I found interesting was that it didn't focus on the killer, focused on the victims, focused on their stories as well. Did you find participating in it to be cathartic? Did it help with the grieving process?
Yes, and Skye Borgman, who was the producer of that, knew that we were very adamant about that, and she really took that into consideration, that, you know, we wanted this to be victim-based, not him. You know, obviously there is no story if you don't talk about what happened.
Right.
So that had to be done, but it was good to see them in person and in real filming, real photos, and as sad as it was to watch, because some of those moments just take you right back to when it all started. There are some moments that, you know, you could definitely smile.
Yeah. Steve, the last time we chatted here on the show, I recall you expressing some frustration that the case.
Now, also, let me just mind you that on their way to New York to do this, there was a plane incident. This is going to be the third time now that I've probably mentioned it, where Steve got up out of nowhere on the airplane on the way to New York and ran to the back of the bathroom telling Christy that he didn't feel good. And then all of a sudden, this huge commotion erupted on the plane, and people started running to the back of the plane, and emergency services went over the airplane asking for doctors and nurses and EMS personnel or anybody that has medical whatever to go to the back of the plane. And it turns out that Steve had some sort of low blood pressure event, and I guess he fainted or fell or passed out. I don't know exactly what it was. But in her telling Facebook that this is going on, she says, I just sat there and waited for him to come back and tell me what happened. I don't think I'm ever going to get over the lack of give a shit in this family. I really just don't.
He never went to trial. Now, of course, the same week that this documentary comes out, he tries to change his plea. Would you like to see a trial? Would you actually like to see this go to trial this time around?
That's never changed. I've been consistent through and through. The evidence was there. I want to honor all the work that the agents did, and I think it should have stood. We need to make case law. You know, Idaho had a chance. We spent $8 million. We really were in a perfect position to put our foot down and say we're not going to allow this to happen in our state. And I would have liked to see that happen.
In the docuseries, the police chief, the Moscow police chief, he basically says, as you saw, that he thinks that this is essentially a death penalty because he'll die in prison. He'll do the 4 consecutive life terms. What do you say to that?
Was done.
If it was his kid, he wouldn't feel the same. You know, that's not a real death penalty. And it's my child, and I'm going to demand the highest standard of law. And that's not dying in prison, you know, getting vegan meals and being treated like some kind of celebrity, and that's not even close.
I did actually appreciate him saying that, And
The police chief.
Yes, the police chief. I never actually had thought about that. But death row is different than, in which he is not on death row. So the life that he would live up until the time he would die is different. So that is, a small factor there, or a big factor.
We shouldn't pay for his PhD. And he's going to get a PhD in prison. Why? Because our system is...
Why does he always make shit up? Why does he always make things up? Just like he's making up there being $40,000 on Bryan's books that he was going to use for a lawyer. Now here he is with a PCR public defender. The way you said he was going to write a book with somebody and have all this money to do all these things with, and you're not. Why do you keep making this shit up, bro? Why do you keep making this shit up? Wow.
But death row is different than, in which he is not on death row. So the life that he would live up until the time he would die is different. So that is, a small factor there, or a big factor.
We shouldn't pay for his PhD. And he's going to get a PhD in prison. Why? Because our system is questionable. Somebody like that, I'll keep going to school.
He always makes shit up.
Aubrey, mom and dad have sort of been out here talking about their beloved daughter for a number of years now. We saw your sister there in the story. She read the victim impact statement last year as well. This is the first time we've seen and heard from you. Why did you decide that now is the time to speak out?
Yeah, so when everything happened, I was a sophomore in high school. I was only 16 years old, and at the time, I kind of just decided that no words were going to bring back either one of my sisters, so I didn't feel like saying anything. And now that I've gotten older, almost 4 years has passed, I realize still that no words are going to bring back my sisters, but words are what's going to keep their memories alive. And I'm not really one to put myself in a situation like this. I don't really like to, but I know that I have to keep Maddie and Kaylee's name alive, and that's why I'm here today.
Let's talk about it.
I just wish that she wouldn't just follow her parents' lead and she would sit down and actually look at the documents and the forensic records herself. I wish that she wouldn't take whatever the aura is that her parents have over the entire family, and I wish that she would just step back and she would look at things herself, because at the end of the day, we just want answers. We want justice to be true justice, and we want answers. And nobody's questions have been answered. This family on the screen right now, none of their questions have been answered either. I just really wish that she would sit back and really read and really pay attention to the truth from the court documents that has been released, the information that's actually out there, and not just listen to whatever this made-up stuff is that her father keeps spewing out. Look at the interview with Cyree. Look how many things he just randomly said out of nowhere, just blatant on camera for hundreds and thousands of people to hear made-up stuff. The same made-up stuff that he's been saying for the past 3 years about Wi-Fi and Bryan connecting to the Wi-Fi at the house and all this crazy stuff. I just wish that she would take a step back and take a look at it on her own.
Kaylee, for a second, what do you want the world to know about your big sister? Maybe things that we haven't heard, or maybe things that we don't know.
I think you could see exactly how Kaylee was as a person just by looking at pictures of her. She was like the bubbliest human ever. She was always down to have a fun time. She was always, looking at the positives. She was one of the hardest workers I've ever met. And to this day, that is a huge thing that provides me with a constant need to keep going, because I know that Kaylee would be doing the same thing had she still been here. And I really am just trying to do half as much as I know that she would have.
How are you guys doing? How are you holding up?
I think we're doing a lot better. We have a nonprofit, Murder Has a Name, and it's made us focus on, there's true crime and it's very popular. So how do we take that true crime and point it in a direction where they actually can make a difference in a courtroom?
I mean, it could start with, the families that entertain true crime coming in and helping with the case, that the families start being honest. I think honesty should be number one. Right, Steve?
Make the world safer and not see it just as something that is entertainment, but no, I can reach out and I can do something. And we're trying to find cold cases. We're going to do IgG. We're going to do genetics. We're going to do the lab. We're going to private fund it. And we're going to work with those investigators. And we're going to make, we're hunting the same people that, killed our child. We're going after those people.
As you do it, come back and share those stories with the world and with our audience as well. The strength and...
No, she didn't. Show me where she said that. And if you're going to try to send me off to some Howard Bloom whatever article, that's not her saying anything. Where did she state that? Was she in an interview saying that? Did she come out and do an interview with someone and say that out of her own mouth? No, she didn't.
Dignity that you guys display every time you're here is just remarkable.
Yeah.
And to you, happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you so much.
Big 2-1 tomorrow.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Christy,
already?
Steve, Aubrey, thank you as always.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can...
She seems sweet. She seems sweet. Okay, so here's this other one with them on, who is this, Inside Edition? This is Inside Edition.
Like the new documentary about the quadruple University of Idaho murders. Now the family of one of the victims is speaking with Inside Edition, saying they want the killer, Bryan Kohberger, to go on trial so that he can be executed by a firing squad.
See, it's interesting how before Cy came out and said some crazy shit, they were wanting to be against this. They were running their mouths about this. So, and even Olivia is like, it's not going to happen. Even now, though, given her interview, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get this. I don't know why you'd act like that when the one thing that you have been bitching and complaining about this whole time is that it never went to trial. The cards were never played. The evidence was never shown. So why would you be so sarcastically gross about this? It doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there, right? So let's go ahead and get there. Let's get to court. It doesn't matter if something happens on your end or something happens on his end. If it gets back into court and we get to trial, then let's have it. Why are we acting stupid about it? And that's how they were all acting up until that interview with Cy. But now that Cy's come out here saying some cray shit that he did not attest to in court whatsoever, now they're okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Let's go to trial. We're not going to complain anymore. Notice the tune change.
Squad if convicted. They spoke with Allison Hall.
Bryan Kohberger, the monster who slaughtered 4 college students, has some unlikely support in his quest to withdraw his guilty plea and go to trial. Steve and Kaylee Goncalves, whose daughter Kaylee was one of the slain, say bring it on so Kohberger can be sentenced to death by firing squad.
I would love to go to court. You don't make a deal with the devil.
Kohberger is seeking to withdraw his guilty plea, claiming his defense team convinced him to falsely confess.
They're playing Steve's voice still talking in the background as this lady's voice is still playing. I can hear it on this side.
Go to trial. Steve and Kaylee Goncalves, whose daughter Kaylee was one of the slain, say bring it on so Kohberger can be sentenced to death by firing squad.
I would love to go to court. You don't make a deal with the devil.
Kohberger is seeking to withdraw his guilty plea, claiming his defense team convinced him to falsely confess after spooking him about the horrors of life in an 8x8 death row cell.
Do you feel like you were robbed from your day in court with him?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. The whole community was robbed of.
See, this is how I expected them to react from the beginning, because they were so mad about not going to trial. This right here being like, yes, let's go. That should have been their initial reaction without all the dumb shit. That's just my opinion.
Seeing what happens to somebody who comes to our community and murders people while they're sleeping.
The Goncalves family is speaking out to Inside Edition following the release of the #1 rated Netflix documentary, The Idaho Murders, College Nightmare, and never before seen video of the victims.
Say hi, Maddie. It's just me and Maddie out here by the pool, soaking up the sunshine.
The documentary reveals that in those first few hours after the bodies were discovered, cops were initially suspicious when Kaylee's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jack DeCour, turned up at the crime.
See, they can't just leave that relationship alone. 12 hours before Kaylee died, Kaylee was trying to get back with Mason Barstow. They had been separated for 3 whole months. Homegirl was leaving the state. I can't. This is what pisses me off so bad. The disrespect for how she was living her life. They're putting way more onto Jack than they should be. It doesn't matter that they spent 5 years together in high school. That's puppy love. Who cares? She was done with this. She was moving forward. I don't believe any of the stories that they've told us. They've made up lies about everything, all the way down to Eric Gower being a family member that helped them out. I mean, that was in an interview in the very beginning of this case. They've lied about the simplest shit. Oh, what they were talking to Adam about was about Jack and Kaylee getting back together, and Kaylee wanting to get back with Jack. Again, 12 hours before she died, she was trying to get back with Basin Barstow. Why are we lying? I don't know why this triggers me so much, but it just freaking does.
Bodies were discovered. Cops were initially suspicious when Kaylee.
Does he have a new girlfriend? See, I don't follow their family. The Goncalveses swear, and all their little weird little minion freaks like character analysis and all of them. They think that I follow them and do. I don't know what the frick they're doing. Y'all tell me what they're doing, and then I go double check that what it is actually there. I didn't know he had another girlfriend. I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention. Thanks for the $4.99 wit. How is Aubrey going to be 21? She was 16 in November of 2022, and it's been 4 years. Wouldn't she be 20? Yeah, because if she turned 16 in August of 2022, then August of 2023 she's 17. August of 24 she's 18. August of 25 she's 19. Yeah, she should be turning 20. If her birthday is tomorrow, yeah. That does seem off by a year, doesn't it? Yeah, that does seem off. I wonder how that happened. Are they lying about that too? You know what? The stupidity's gonna kill me. Nothing shocks me. Nothing shocks me. That's crazy. They did just say she was 16 at the time this happened. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. Also, just to like another situation that was brought out concerning her. She was at a bar in Austin some months back, and there was a shooting at the bar that she was at. She was in the middle of the freaking shootout at the bar. And Christy finds out about it on the news and then messages her about it. And that's how Christy then finds out that her daughter was just in the middle of a bar shooting in Austin. So even in that situation, like she didn't even call Christy or Steve or Olivia or anyone in her family to let them know that that situation had just happened. Nothing happened to her. She was fine, but she was still in the middle of that stressful situation inside that Austin bar. And she didn't call her family. Those messages, Christy told us that story. Christy told us that story. I don't know. I would hope that my kid, if she, once she's 21 and she's able to get into bars and clubs and shit, if there was a shoot 'em up situation and people were, it was a whole tragic scenario, I would hope that she would call me. That's crazy to me.
And off-again boyfriend, Jack DeCour, turned up at the crime scene. He was briefly detained as a person of interest.
That is a lie, actually. Holy shit. That's actually a lie. He was the person of interest on all of the reports, even up until Bryan Kohberger pled guilty. On the Idaho State Police Forensic Services reports, he is the #1 suspect the entire time. And when Bryan Kohberger is arrested, he is placed on the second line. And it remained that way the entire time. But he was never detained. Literally not ever, freaking not once. He was never detained. He was never even verbally stated to be the person of interest. There, for some reason, even though, again, the files and the forensic reports that are very freaking public for everyone to see has his name as the #1 line and Bryan's as the second line the entire time, okay? Even with that, and the fact they didn't have his fingerprints, in January 2025, the defense said, hey, y'all, we're missing these. You might want to, hand them over. This is missing. And it took 5 months. It took all the way to June of 2025 for them to actually give them, for Jack to get his happy ass down to the police department and give them fingerprints. So they technically cleared him as like a whatever in that speech about the roommates, the driver, you know, that stupid speech they told everybody. They technically cleared him as somebody they weren't looking at verbally to the public in that, with no fingerprints, lies about phone calls, 17-minute phone call he's not telling anybody about. He's asking, is there audio? He's concerned about what could have been picked up from that call because, oh my God, how'd they find out? Is his reaction to it? All kinds of shit. But no, he was never detained as a person of interest. You sure would think he would have been, right? No, he wasn't.
A few hours after the bodies were discovered, cops were initially suspicious when Kaylee's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jack DeCour, turned up at the crime scene. He was briefly detained as a person of interest.
He was briefly detained as a person of interest. I feel like I need to channel my inner Jim Carrey to try to even impersonate that damn voice. That's so annoying.
Hi, Maddie. It's just me and Maddie out here by the pool, soaking up the sunshine.
The documentary reveals that in those first few hours after the bodies were discovered, cops were initially suspicious when Kaylee's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jack DeCour, turned up at the crime scene. He was briefly detained as a person of interest.
I don't know anything. Got a guy out here that's the ex-boyfriend of one of them, so he's detained in his car.
Oh my God. So see, that tells you right there that Inside Edition also has no clue that the actual footage is on YouTube, or they're going to pretend like they don't know the actual footage is on YouTube. They're taking the one clip from Corbin Smith's body cam that we watched last night for Moscow Monday. And what Gunderson is claiming in that body cam, and just running with those words. Shouldn't they know after almost 4 years of covering this case that that's not true? I hate Inside Edition so much.
I could only imagine how Kaylee would feel.
Exactly. He literally was asked if he wanted to sit in the car until somebody could talk to him and tell him what was going on. And he said yes. And he sat there the whole time. And since we're on this subject, the Goncalveses, namely Christy, told us in the very beginning that she not only was trying to contact Maddie and Kaylee back to back on the phone and they weren't answering, but she was also trying to get a hold of Jack. Okay? What this footage actually shows is the fact that Jack was more than capable and able to answer the phone or call the Goncalveses and tell them what was happening that he knew about the time because he was at the scene. He did not. He did not answer their phone calls. He did not answer what was probably a bunch of text messages trying to figure out what was going on. He did not call them back. He called his sister. We found that out in the Netflix documentary because his cousin was interviewed. And how she found out is that Jack called his sister and told her what was going on. And she started relaying the message to people. But he didn't answer the phone for the Goncalveses, and he didn't call them to tell them what was happening. And he drives their vehicle. And they've taken up for him every step of the way in this entire thing. They knew there was a 17-minute phone call. They had the records. They told us that the contact between them that night started at 2:26 in the morning. The rest of it starts in the low 40s after the 17-minute phone call is over. There's reasons to question behaviors. Even if they're innocent of anything, why is that happening? Why is that situation? Why did the Goncalveses not go down to Moscow? Why is Jack not answering the phone for them or calling them and telling them what is going on? Why is there an excuse after an excuse after an excuse for why they didn't go down to Moscow? And why does Steve suddenly think it's appropriate to pretend like his daughter was less important than his job? See, I think that's why the Goncalveses have been able to thrive in their bullshit, because you see how mainstream media basically pretends like this side of the world doesn't exist. So as long as the Goncalveses can keep dipping their toes into mainstream water, then their truth is hidden. Because that's always going to be louder than we are. While some might trickle into the truth, other people are waterfalling into the bullshit. Sometimes it feels pointless.
He's detained in his car.
I can only imagine how Kaylee would feel if they knew that Jack was being accused of something like this, because it's just not Jack. And he was in such immense pain himself.
Decor was quickly released. Police say he had nothing to do with the murders.
He was never released because he was never detained.
And 7 weeks.
I am honestly kind of shocked that the Goncalveses just haven't corrected them.
If they
honestly
knew something like this.
Because that's crazy.
Because it's just not Jack. And he was in such immense pain himself.
Decor was quickly released. Police say he had nothing to do with the murders. And 7 weeks later, Kohberger was arrested. One of the most dramatic moments at Kohberger's sentencing took place when Steve Goncalves grabbed the podium and turned it to face the killer.
What was it like looking him in the eye?
I just seen a lot of evil, and I was like,
which is so funny because one of the very first interviews that they did about Bryan Kohberger when he first got to Latah County and Steve saw him in court, y'all are going to remember this that have been here for a while. He says this all now, but the original interview was, I just looked like a guy that was scared and didn't know what was going on. I looked at him and I said, that's the guy. He just looks scared and like he wasn't sure what was happening. So it's the same person. Now that he's been not fed information because the state wasn't giving them any information, he's been going out and getting his own information. It went from he just looked scared, like he didn't know what was going on, and I'm just thinking, damn, that's the dude. To now, suddenly there's a difference. I don't see how there's a difference. This is all perception change. Kohberger's the same person that was arrested. So if he looked confused and scared back then, how is it suddenly different now? I don't know.
I wonder if people are seeing what I'm seeing. He has no reaction whatsoever. He's just a psychopath staring right back at.
He has autism and he's not a psychopath. You have to be medically diagnosed to be a psychopath. The state and the defense both did psychological evaluations on him and he was never diagnosed with psychopathy. He has autism. That's just the truth.
I just seen a lot of evil, and I was like, I wonder if people are seeing what I'm seeing. He has no reaction whatsoever. He's just a psychopath staring right back at, not like head down, not any remorse, nothing.
They say watching the house where their daughter and her friends were slain being torn down was a heartbreaking moment because she spent such happy times there.
I felt like they had torn down like a piece of my daughter.
Kaylee Goncalves' parents have launched a foundation called Murder Has a Name, which funds forensic DNA testing to help law enforcement solve cold cases.
Well, that's that one. Okay. So now, how many minutes is this? I don't even know. This is the lady who did the Netflix documentary. And she just claims that she just, has all this insight. But again, you can pretty much tell by the way that the documentary was put together that she hasn't really read a lot of anything in way of documents, forensic reports, evidence. Somebody, not being well liked in school or not being a people person or whatever doesn't mean anything. You have to look at the actual evidence. That's the only story here that matters.
When Bryan Kohberger, the man who pleaded guilty to killing 4 University of Idaho students, filed a petition to reopen his case, everyone was a little bit confused. Why, after a year into his life sentence, was he contesting his plea agreement? Well, Kohberger claimed it was due to bad counsel and false promises, but could there be more to it than that?
Why do they never
In the book
say
Broken
threats?
Plea, author Christopher Whitcomb argues that there was a hair found.
Oh, and he's been doing interviews too. Old Whitcomb.
In one of the victim's hands that did not match Kohberger's.
Oh, this is
Investigators only
captain.
ruled
We
out
can't touch him.
Kohberger. They did not find out who the hair belonged to.
Interesting. Okay.
Raising questions that maybe someone else was involved. Did Kohberger read Whitcomb's book and think he found a loophole? Joining me now is News Nation senior producer and author of Murder and the Media, Allison Weiner. Allison, you believe that Bryan Kohberger read this book, Christopher Whitcomb's book.
Oh, this isn't the lady I thought it was. Okay, then no, I don't want to do this. I want to read the thing that Skye Borgman said. I thought that was the actual interview with her. So she didn't actually do a full interview on camera. It's all, yeah. It's all like an interview on the phone that they wrote an article about. Yeah, it's like on Bollywood and shit like that. So maybe it's not even like real. But News Nation posted something about it like on here too, but I don't want. Okay, Fox News Digital is where it was. This is what I want right here. Okay, hold on, let me reshare this. Bryan Kohberger choice of house full of women may hold the key to the Idaho murders' biggest mystery. Documentary director Skye Borgman says the motive behind the Idaho murders may never be fully known. So is this where she actually does an interview or not? Because I don't want to really read a bunch of dumb shit from somebody who's kind of stupid. Huh. See, there he is. There's old Ed Jacobson. That's the ex-FBI agent that actually worked the case. He's been in all these damn documentaries. So she's trying to say that she thinks that it's because he has an issue with women. But then in here it also says that it might never be known. Okay, well, let's see if this will play. Does she actually talk in here? The incel narrative gets on my nerves because even when they're trying to tell us that, you notice, actually, you know what? I don't even think y'all saw those. You know, F this. I'll show y'all this instead. Because that chick don't have no answers for us. She don't know what she's talking about. The Netflix documentary showed some text messages, right? Like I showed y'all the one where Olivia is messaging Eric and asking when he dropped the girls off. And instead of answering that question, he's answering when he picked them up, and then like the Jack Jacor photos and stuff of the 226 call. There was another one that showed, and look, I don't know where they're getting this information from. Where's it at? Okay, so when they're talking about screenshots and stuff of like Kohberger's phone contacts, there's chicks in his freaking phone. Like, I don't know how they act like he's some sort of incel. So right here, there's like two numbers right here. Girl that you ran at night with and that other girl that you ran with. Like, he obviously goes jogging and does stuff with chicks. Like, he obviously has like girls that he, was, I don't know, running with, exercising with. The other numbers, there's like an L name and then an M name and then a mother and then maintenance. Like, it's stuff like that. But we know that there was an Asian chick over there that apparently liked him and that he didn't reciprocate that. I don't know if she's the same girl that's in the Walmart video, but there's a girl in the Walmart video. He's shopping with her and she's laughing and they're obviously having like a good time together. She doesn't seem like she's in distress or any crazy shit like that. We know the story about the pool party. Just because what he was picky and like, okay, I was listening to the WSU lady say some stuff, and she mentioned the one thing where apparently Bryan would make comments about how his partner would need to be like in perfect health and like all this stuff like that. And I sat back and I thought about that for a second, and I said, it's because he has problems. I don't find it to be like misogyny or anything, whatever the frick they're trying to say. I think the reason why Bryan Kohberger might have said that his partner would need to be somebody who is like has no medical issues, stuff like that, doesn't have any abnormalities, is because he does. And he's aware that he does. He knows he has autism. He knows he has mobility and dexterity issues that come from autism. He knows he's dealt with depression. He knows that he's had addictive issues. He knows that he's had visual snow. He knows he's had issues. He probably is freaking smart enough to know that if he's going to try to combat any of his medical ailments, that the best chance that his child would have of not having so many issues was to be with a partner who doesn't have any issues. That doesn't really, if you think about the kind of person mentally that this man actually is, that's probably what he means. And until I see actual proof that he actually hates women, I'm not going to think about it that way, because I haven't seen any freaking proof of that. He adores the shit out of his mother, and from the pictures I've seen of him and his sisters, they look like they get along perfectly. They look happy together. Until I see real proof of that, that's not some hearsay dumb shit after the fact, because now he's the big bag, boogeyman on the news, then whatever. But I think about it in a PhD type of mentality. That would make sense. His child would have a less chance of having certain things if his partner didn't have problems. It can sound pretty fricked up, I can imagine, but in an intellectual way of thinking, I can see why he would probably say that. So I'll say that. I'll say that. So I don't know. The girl, the French lady, she just seems like she's really just trying to talk. It sounds like she doesn't really have much at all to say. The police are having a hard time getting her to actually get to the point. It seems in the freaking interview. There's just a lot. There's just always just so much stupidity. It's just wild, actually. It's wild, actually. Let me see which other ones I have. Oh, JLR made an appearance. I can't just put these up and open one and just move over. It doesn't let me do that. It won't let me share screen either. How do I freaking... Because the first screenshot that I took was of the phone calls. 226, 244, and 252. I guess I'll just have to go back and forth. I don't really have a choice. This is what Olivia sent to Eric Gower. Hey, I'm Olivia, Kaylee and Maddie's sister. Do you happen to remember about what time you took the girls home that night? And his response didn't answer the question. His response was about when he picked them up, which I found interesting. Hey, Olivia, yes, I do. I called the police and left my name and number, but haven't heard from them. But I drove Kaylee and some others at 10:14, picked up Kaylee and two others from 11:22 and took them to the club. Now, Connor did release the messages between Kaylee and Eric Gower earlier on his YouTube page, and we went over them in a previous live. I will end up going in and taking those out separately. But then there was also these social media posts that were put on there. These are the ones that I took clips of. What's the obsession? And her horribly written title. This Gigi person, it's the frat brothers. Somebody's parents are paying the cops off. So much more sense. Bernice Rivera, the frats and the sororities involved. They cleaned for 8 hours, and not just the drugs, but the house, period. And then we have this one. Ghost Ranger, I think the surviving roommates think / suspect / know the ex. Jack D probably did it. Pumpkin Porter. I still believe the frat boys know a lot more than they're telling. Lisa Starr, I can't believe they sleep until the afternoon with 4 bodies. They were definitely cleaning up the crime scene. And then I don't know who the frick this dude is. I've never seen this face before in my life. I don't know who this person is. But this is somebody that they showed. And then here's a face you all love and adore. His shit was in there. And then right here, Cecilia says DM was and is guilty as hell. Copper Petals said if the killer is a female, it's either Dylan or Bethany. And then there's this one. Ghost Ranger, I think the surviving roommates think / suspect. See, it's the same one. They posted the exact same thing. And then Maggie said Jack the Ripper. Lex Luthor said if Jack D, Kaylee's ex, was very overprotective type, the jealous type, I could absolutely see him sending Hoodie Jack to follow the girls that night to watch them. Clearly both Jacks know each other, which actually they really don't. It doesn't seem like they do at all. And then Candy said Jack D has motive, breakup with Kaylee, taking dog to Texas. Cece said, I'm full on believing it's Jack Decor, Kaylee's ex. This is where they showed the assistantship letter that they showed, but we have this stuff from Pullman. But this is where I just find it insane. I just find it crazy that everything happened on the 19th. He suddenly gets terminated on the 19th after he's been grading papers the whole time that he's been in Pennsylvania. We have proof of that because we've had his students come out and show us that he was grading papers. And we also have him still doing assignments. So he was looking up stuff like wiretapping and psychosis and shit, like psychopathy and shit like that. And they're trying to say that it had something to do with him, which, as far as I'm understanding, psychos don't know they're psychos. So psychos usually cannot self-diagnose themselves. But knowing that he was still in class and still doing assignments, I mean, he's looking up stuff, and I know that it probably looks pretty bad because of the dates and stuff. But whenever you're looking up wiretapping, but you're also looking up a certain name of a serial killer, it seems like you're literally just trying to do your assignment. Because this is the one where he mentions the Nance serial killer, and it looked like he was doing some research for an assignment. That's all that it actually looked like. It looks like he was doing assignment work. And we've seen some of his papers come through in the ISP, photographs. So we know what the field of study is, which is another thing that was interesting about what that French lady was trying to say. Because she was trying to make it sound like it was a big deal that Bryan was in the classes that she taught because they were more like sex crime based. And I'm like, but lady, you teach it. Like, she's making it sound like, oh, he showed extra attention and asked a bunch of questions. And I'm like, did you not act the same way when you were in these classes? I mean, now you teach it. So you must have some sort of passion for it. You must attach yourself to it somehow. You must have acted the same way. So it's just interesting the way that people change their perception of a certain behavior depending on what narrative they're supposed to actually follow, I guess. Yeah, I heard that there was some crazy stuff going on with Perez Hilton. I heard he tried to take his own life on live earlier today. I did not see it. I don't want to see it. But I heard that was happening, and I know that people are going live talking about it, which is interesting. But I know he was in the hospital a couple months back for some sort of medical condition. I don't know if that's attributing to any of that stuff that's going on. I don't know. I was trying to see if the Goncalveses spoke anywhere else today, because I did see something that showed Olivia in something today. But when I clicked over to it, it only had literally 4 seconds of her speaking. So I don't think that she's actually done anything else. We've listened to them with Jesse Weber. Yeah, I think that's probably it. I guess that's probably it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to get off of here then, since we watched those two. I just want to see, I just don't want a bunch of lies constantly out there. If we're going to get to trial, if this is going to go to trial, then the Goncalveses need to, for once, sit down and not go around and do a whole bunch of interviews and talk a bunch of shit. There's no other answer. If this ends up going back to court, they cannot behave the same way they were behaving before. They can't. And what's going to happen if they do? What's going to happen if we go to court and this thing goes back to trial and they have not learned their lesson? It doesn't matter all the times that Judge Hippler has said anything to Steve Goncalves. He's going to come out here and he's going to continue. I would hope that they learned their lesson, but everything seems to have like just kept going their way with everything. So I doubt it. I really feel that they're going to act the same. I really do. I don't know. Now, we do have a hearing coming up with EWU. I believe it's on August 9th. It might be tomorrow or it might be the 9th. I'll check, and if it's tomorrow, then we'll watch it live. I'll check and put something in the community tab. I guess that's it. I'm trying to think what we're doing tomorrow, but I'll just decide, and then I'll post it on the schedule thing, and then you guys will see. Every time I try to keep to some sort of schedule, it doesn't work. It is tomorrow. Okay, so it is tomorrow. So we'll go live tomorrow and try to listen to what's ever going on. As far as I remember from the last document that came out about the hearings, I don't think that we're going to be able to see their faces anymore. I think it's going to be just audio only, which will be interesting. So I'll check for that and check the time and get something ready to go for tomorrow. I don't know how long it'll be. They do have, let's see, which one was this one? There is a filing that came out. We kind of went over it a little bit in the members only live, but it just doesn't really seem like there's, I just want to get to them talking. I want to see exactly what was paid for. I want to get to their argument, because there was something in the document that said something about not having proof of like receipts for things. And that was some of our argument with it was like, we want this to go through. We want them to release, back up a little bit on the way that they're redacting things, because it's way out of hand. It's way out of line. But I hope, like, we're worried that something is going to end up going wrong, because we don't see EWU actually producing receipts that they paid for any of these redacted things and any of these FOIA laws, that they've been complaining about, really. And they've pretty much made that clear again in this last filing. So that's an issue. Like, you have to have a product if you're going to complain about the product. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. So we'll see what they do. We will see what they do. But I'll go ahead and get that set up tonight for whatever time that's supposed to start tomorrow, so that we just have it ready to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again so much for the super stickers and the super chats. Thank you for the $4.99, Kim. People are saying Kaylee might be from SG's brother. SG called her adopted daughter. He did say that. I don't know. They look all alike. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have any thoughts on that at all, actually. I don't have any thoughts on that at all. Thank you for the $2, Paula. Yeah, I have no idea. Hey there, Layla. Yeah, I've been here for 2 years. Sure have. Thank you for coming in. It's good to see you. Yeah, that thing with Aubrey being 21 all of a sudden is odd by a year. Off by a year. That is true. That is super true. Hey, Glitch DNA, how you doing? Hey, so you, for those of you that are like really into like the sciencey part of all this stuff, she does a bunch of forensic breakdowns into the DNA and things like that. So if you haven't gone over there and listened to her breakdowns, I don't know. Do you do lives and stuff over there? I don't know if she does lives and stuff over there, but she does a lot of videos and puts a lot of posts out with a bunch of information on it. So if you're into like the sciencey part, which is super important, especially in this case, head on over there and take a look at some of the stuff that she's got going on over there. All right, you guys, I will go ahead and see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Get some sleep. Take a breather. It's been a stressful last couple of days, but it's slowing down a little bit. Just a little bit. You guys have a great night. See y'all.